What is up, everyone? It is your boy Alan. Today I want to take some time out of my day to talk about the NFL Combine, but with a twist. I'm going to be covering the players that the Rams have formally met and interviewed. The reason for this is because if you follow the Rams, you understand this. Usually the players that they have interviewed, that's in alignment with where they decide to go in the draft. And as all of you know, we have just wrapped up our coaching hires. We have our coaching staff out there. We have a tremendous coaching staff going into next season, and the next part of the offseason is attacking the draft and making sure that this team gets better. So with that being said, I'm going to be giving you all, based off of what I've seen on tape, my opinion, my evaluations that I have personally written down. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you highlights, well, B-roll footage overlaid with what my evaluation was of these players that they have interviewed. Now, we're going to be ranking them based off what I was surprised with in a good way, all the way down to what I was surprised with in a not so good way. And that's just me being honest. But with that being said, you guys, don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. And with that being said, let's get into the video. All right, you guys. So my biggest surprise from the Los Angeles Rams, in a good way, because I couldn't make you guys wait for that, was them interviewing Jeremiah Love. Now, why was I surprised about them interviewing Jeremiah Love? Well, it's specifically because they drafted Jarquez Hunter last year. They drafted Blake Corum the year before that. They just signed Kyren Williams to a 3-year extension. So I believe our running back room is good. But when you think about the opportunity of being able to bring in a guy like Jeremiah Love into this building, and we've seen this, and we have to acknowledge the honesty to it, right? And which is the Rams, they always draft a running back. So in my opinion, when you look at the tape that Jeremiah Love has put out there, right, he, in my opinion, has been the best running back in college football for the last 2 seasons. Every time I see him, he is a home run hitting play waiting to happen. He is explosive, he is twitchy, he is patient, but once he hits that one cut, he is up on out of there. It's kind of reminiscent of a Saquon Barkley type of feel, but I also believe that he could bring in that CMC Bijan Robinson type of workload. He provides that type of an upside. You know, my comparisons to him and what I see based off of his tape is like kind of like if you combine off the measurements like a DeMarco Murray, but mixed in with the Kenneth Walker explosiveness. Now, this is the thing. Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks, he is an absolutely fantastic running back with a ton of upside, but his biggest deterrent has always been injury. So that's the reason why Kenneth Walker has not truly escalated to the level that he could be in the NFL, specifically because he can't stay healthy and take on the level of work that is needed in order for you to be viewed as a top 5 back, but his talent is there. You know, when I look at Jeremiah Love, he just brings so many good things to the table that it just can't be ignored. And if you have the opportunity to bring in a back like this into your team, it really just is a home run hitting type of player. I'm not talking about on the level of a Jahmyr Gibbs, because he doesn't have that acceleration similar to Jahmyr Gibbs, but this guy, in my opinion, could provide like a Todd Gurley type of punch. Jeremiah Love can be an every down back. He's very physical in his punch in the pass blocking game. He finishes blocks, and he is a guy that has good vision. So in my opinion, I believe he brings a lot to the table. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be reading off to you my evaluation based off of what I saw. For Jeremiah Love, we have the 40-yard dash time being a 4.37 and a 4.36. The 40 time absolutely coincides with what the tape shows because he is a home run hitter. He's explosive in and out of his cuts. He's twitchy, extremely athletic, shows great patience. He is a home run hitter for his size and weight. He cuts really well on routes and has great hands. One-on-one, good luck bringing him down. He's powerful to run through arm tackles and twitchy enough on his cuts to make multiple defenders miss and take it to the crib. He kind of reminds you, like I said earlier, between a DeMarco Murray / Kenneth Walker type of player. He really is special. His stat, and in my opinion, the most important one in college football, is the fact that he had 1 career fumble on 400+ carries in college. He's great at protecting the ball. In my opinion, he hurdles a little bit more than he should, but he is a home run hitter, and I have to expect that with a special type of player like him. He's very strong and physical at the point of attack, very similar to Kyren Williams in the pass blocking game. He's my RB1 in this draft. He's held up in college from a health aspect and is a bell cow back if healthy. There's no reason why he can't see a Bijan Robinson / CMC workload. He will become one of the NFL's best running backs in a very short amount of time. He's a big play waiting to happen every time he touches the ball. His prospect grade for me, he is an A. He is a first-round draft pick. For me, I believe he has the versatility and tools as a complete player and running back, being the home run hitter that he is, to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Now, in my opinion, I believe he will go earlier than that. There's no way he lands to us at 13, but he does present a very unique conundrum given the fact that the Rams do need help at the cornerback position. There are some great corners that should be available at their drafting slot, but do you take Jeremiah Love if he presents himself at your draft position? This is the ultimate question, and this is why it brings such a unique conundrum, because he is such a fantastic player that you already know this guy's going to be absolutely amazing. But does he land to us, and do they pull the trigger on him? I'm going to say that if he is available at 13, which I doubt he will be, I got him going in the top 8. I believe that's how early he's going to go, and it wouldn't surprise me if he goes top 5, because that's how special of a player he is, that they draft him at 13. Now, would it make sense? No, given the fact that they have an absolutely loaded running back room. We know how the Rams are. It's all about getting the offensive talent around Matthew Stafford. They've shown that in multiple years before when we've been saying they need to attack the defense in the secondary. What have they always done? They've been in discussions for an offensive player. Last 2 years, it was Brock Bowers and Tedero McMillan, and here we are. So it would not surprise me if they draft him with their first draft pick, but I don't believe he's going to be there. So let's get into the next player. The next player we're going to be talking about is Brenen Thompson out of Mississippi State. He is a burner, a guy that lit it up at the combine running, I believe it was a 4.26. The guy is a speed demon. He can get up and down the field. He is truly incredible from that aspect. And a lot of his comparisons in terms of the players that his game would be similar to, he is a cross between Deshaun Jackson and Tank Dell. But he's not as agile as Tank Dell, but he's not as fast as a Deshaun Jackson. But when you look at him in tape, he can stretch it all the way down the field. He is great at beating you off the snap. He is good in his reps of going over the middle, but he is limited given his size. He doesn't have a huge target radius in terms of a 50-50 ball type of receiver. It was surprising that they decided to actually interview him because he represents the same role that Tutu Atwell had the last couple of years, and we all know what happened with Tutu Atwell. First and foremost, they drafted him, in my opinion, a little bit too early. They could have drafted Quinn Meinerz, and that was the guy I wanted to draft back then. I believe even Creed Humphrey was available, and they decided to go with Tutu Atwell. Again, a mistake on their part because they had, in my opinion, 2 franchise offensive linemen for years to come that they passed up on for its speed threat. Now, it's not that Tutu Atwell was not a great player. I believe that Tutu Atwell has a tremendous amount of talent. He brings a lot to the table, and the Rams misutilized him. They really did. What they did to him was ludicrous because I really felt he could have been extremely productive in this system. Now, the reason why I look at Brenen Thompson as I don't know how to feel about it is because it really depends on where they rank him on their draft board, right? But most importantly, when they draft him. If they take him with a day 2 pick or a day 1 pick, I would be extremely frustrated if I'm a Rams fan, just because it is not a position of need. We don't need another burner of that caliber. And if you're going to take a receiver of his caliber that early, why not go for a guy like Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate? Or why not, even if he's there, draft the Jeremiah Love? You get what I'm saying? So like, if they were to draft him early, there would be a lot of questions. But what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be getting into my evaluation on him. The comparison for Brenen Thompson is Deshaun Jackson / Tank Dell. But he's not as agile as Tank Dell and not as quick as Deshaun Jackson. He has the ability to be an explosive playmaker, but his long-term health is the question given his frame. Now, will he be utilized the way those two were? Is he a deep down the field decoy? These are questions you have to ask yourself about his stock when he comes into the NFL. If a ball is underthrown due to his size, I don't think, based off of what I see on tape, that he could consistently get the 50-50 balls due to physicality. But again, I love what I see in terms of getting in and out of his cuts quick. He's good in contested windows underneath for a guy his size, but he is limited to what he could do inside. My only worry is health and not having a huge target radius with a guy like Stafford throwing him the ball. If he takes over Atwell's spot, we know what happens. He'll be a decoy, and I don't know if I want that early with our draft picks. My question is, at his ceiling, is he durable enough, and can he add enough weight to get bulkier but keep his speed to become a Brandon Cooks caliber receiver? That's the question, because Cooks is a dang good receiver and was extremely productive in the NFL. There's so much of a widespread area for me with Thompson that his career will be based off of what offensive system he's in. He can't contribute much on special teams, and as a run blocker, he's not the best. So for me personally, I see an Atwell role for him if the Rams draft him. But we saw how it worked out for him. He couldn't consistently stay on the field. So again, I don't know what this does for a Brenen Thompson. I believe that the higher priorities need to go to spots like cornerback, safety, and we saw how the combine was. There was a lot of cornerbacks that looked really, really good. We had athletic safeties. There's a lot for the Rams to choose from when we're talking about filling needs that provide home run hitters potentially in those spots of need. So I don't understand why they would interview him, but for me personally, I have him in that 5th to 7th round range. He is a day 3 draft pick for me. If they draft him earlier, I would be disappointed. But again, it's hard to tell with the Rams because they made a mistake with drafting Atwell before, but will they make the same mistake with Brendan Thompson? And does Brendan Thompson bring more to the table than Tutu Atwell did? Now, let's say hypothetically, he's able to put on weight. Can we get a Brandon Cooks out of him? Can we get a Tank Dell out of him? Can we get a Deshaun Jackson out of him, right? Because Deshaun Jackson, he was famous for being able to go down the field, Donovan McNabb being able to get him the rock, right? So can we get that, or do we lean more towards Marvin Mims? Like, that's like, it could be so widespread. It can even go to Tutu Atwell. Like, that's why for me personally, I would be upset if they take an early round pick on him, if I'm being honest. But day 3, I'm okay with it. The next guy we're going to be talking about is Mansour Delane. Now, if you saw my previous video when I talked about the all-season needs for the Los Angeles Rams, I spoke about them taking that 13th pick and drafting Mansour Delane if he is available at that position. Now, I was really high on 2 guys. It's Jamal McCoy and Mansour Delane. I firmly believe that if they have him available at the 13th spot, that the Rams are going to take Mansour Delane if there isn't a guy like Jeremiah Love there. But this is the conundrum with Mansour Delane. It's not his ability, right? It's gonna be, does he stay to where they're gonna be drafting? Because I believe, in my opinion, I have him as my #1 corner. So does he go in the top 10? I think it is very reasonable to think that he goes in the top 10 along with Caleb Downs. So those are the 2 guys that I wanted the Rams to target with that 13th slot. So it really is just so widespread with the draft stock, right? Because they tested really well. They've shown to be great on tape, and obviously Mansour Delane, he's phenomenal, man. You know, you saw the LSU tape. He is a dog. So, like I said, like we did with the other ones, let's get into the evaluation. Delane didn't run at the combine, so he didn't post a 40 time, but I would say this based off of his tape that he is in that 4.45 range. It would surprise me if he's in like that 4.45, 4.48 range. And I believe he's waiting to his pro day to be able to showcase that, where he'll be a little bit more comfortable. He has more time to prep for that run. You get what I'm saying? So it would not surprise me if that's where he ends up testing. And on tape, he is phenomenal on tape, man. And I believe that that speed is indicative of who he is as a player. Now, some of the stats you need to know this. He's had 40 starts in college football, 0 penalties, 0 touchdowns allowed. When I tell you he's extremely versatile, he has the ability and skill set to play both outside and inside. He has good recognition, very explosive out the cut, offers that read and react ability you need in zone to play it effectively, but can also play sticky man coverage. When he is beat, he has great makeup speed, and his technique allows him to still play the route effectively, which is great and something the Rams need. It basically forces the quarterback to have to make the perfect throw if he does get beat. In press, I love his technique and his punch at the point of attack. He's a very solid, clean player who covers without committing penalties, which is insane considering the fact he can get so sticky in man coverage. He has good feet and makes plays on the ball. He's not a ball hawk, but he has the ability to make plays if the opportunity presents itself. He can play on the receiver at the line of scrimmage in man and off the ball at the line of scrimmage in zone. His versatility in man and zone make him a slam dunk for the Rams, and I have him as my #1 cornerback in the 2026 NFL draft. Now, in my opinion, I believe he is a top 10 draft pick, but I believe that his range, honestly, is in that 1 through 15 slot. I don't believe he's gonna last any later than 15. So the Rams have the opportunity to draft Mansour Delane, and I believe they will draft him at the 13th spot. Now, this is the thing. They interviewed him, and if they interviewed him, he was the first one that they ended up interviewing, which means that they liked what they saw on tape, and they wanted to see if the character matches what they see on tape. And if they have a high-quality type of person, now they're thinking about having a potential cornerback 1, a lockdown type of cornerback, early on, without a big contract, and gives you what you need in terms of having that true CB1. He is a slam dunk. He would be a slam dunk for this team, and I genuinely believe that the Rams, given the fact that they spoke with him, and they are linked to both him and Jamal McCoy, given the fact that we've seen that, it would not shock me, I'm gonna be honest, it would not shock me if they decide to keep that 29th pick and not trade it for Trent McDuffie, just off of what we've seen and what we've heard initially in terms of the reports from the Rams. Well, not from the Rams, but for people around the situation now who they like. But let's get into the next player. The next player is going to be Makai Lemon. Now, Makai Lemon, as all of you know, I spoke about him in my previous video. This dude is a Rams receiver. He's gritty like a Ram. He can run block. He can make things happen after the catch. He is physical at the point of attack. He's a playmaker. He brings all of the things that you want from a receiving aspect for this team. He really does. He's phenomenal. Given the fact that Cliff Kingsbury coached him his freshman year, this guy, in my opinion, you have to keep him on your radar. And in my opinion, if Mansour Delane is not there at 13, and neither is Jeremiah Love, I firmly believe that this is going to be the guy that the Los Angeles Rams take if those two are not there at that time. And in my opinion, if I'm being honest, it really is going to go based off of how the interview process goes, because an argument could be made that if they really like what Makai Lemon brings to the table, no matter how good Jeremiah Love interviews and how good his tape is, there's a strong potential that they will draft Makai Lemon over Jeremiah Love, given the fact they have a loaded running back room to begin with, right? So Makai Lemon is a dog. As all of you know, I spoke about him before. He reminds me a lot of Puka Nacua, but the more I watch his tape, the more I just see this is who he looks like to me. It's a cross between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua. Now, as all of you know, they are not burners. They're extremely physical, great at contested catches, great at making people miss. They're just absolute dogs on the field. They're gritty players. There are guys that want to win every rep. This is what the Rams need. And given the fact that we have Davante Adams on the back end of his career, back end of his prime per se, well, people will say he's already out of his prime. I still believe that he has one more season, one more great season left in him, maybe two, depending on how he holds up physically this season. But you got to factor in the future, man. Makai Lemon brings in, if you draft him in the first round, 5 years at that type of what could be elite play. You think about having Puka Nacua and him next to one another, the ceiling, it would just be phenomenal, in my opinion. You get what I'm saying? And I don't need to read you off his evaluation. It's just, I watched so much tape on him that I know exactly how he is. Great in the middle of the field. Great at making guys miss. He's just the dog, hard to bring down. Great at running routes. Strong hands at the point of attack. He will go up and get you the ball, man. And he can make the home run play by making somebody miss and taking it to the crib. There's just so many things that you see on tape that it's like, man, Makai Lemon is a dog. And there's the thing, bro. A lot of people are going to say that, oh, well, if you look at his interviews at the combine, he is a head case waiting to happen. I just don't believe that. I believe that he's a fiery guy that absolutely loves the game of football. And this is the truth, man. This is the way he's going to be providing for his family. And you got to respect that, given the fact that he was honest about it. And you could tell it's strictly about business to him. And when you have a guy like that, given the fact that you know where you're going next year, you know who you got to beat. You got to beat San Fran and Seattle. Well, number 1, Seattle. Number 2, San Fran. You know what time it is. You know who you got to go up against. And guess what you need? You need dogs. If you're looking to go win the Super Bowl next year, you need dogs and athleticism. Makai Lemon is an absolute slam dunk if they were to draft him. And in my opinion, an argument could be made if they don't draft him at their draft spot, that's going to be the draft pick that got away from them. Kind of similar to Bobby Wagner when they wanted to draft Bobby Wagner. I want to say, what year was that? 2013? I forget the year. When they wanted to draft Bobby Wagner and they didn't. And they always said that was one of their biggest regrets because they wanted to draft him. I believe that Makai Lemon would exceed that if they don't draft him at their spot. And I can't fault them if they don't, but that's how good Makai Lemon is, and I believe he's going to be extremely effective at the next level. Next player we have is Josiah Trotter. Josiah Trotter is a linebacker out of Missouri. He is the son of Jeremiah Trotter, one of the best linebackers to play in the NFL. Now, we know how this is. The Rams love their players that come from the NFL lineage. And when you think about him growing up in that atmosphere, being coached by his dad, he's already light years ahead of other players in his age group just because he has that experience coming from his dad on what to look for. And given the fact that his father played at the NFL level, he is in alignment with what the Rams like. As all of you know, the Rams have interviewed and drafted a lot of players that come from NFL backgrounds. It's just because with the way that they coach, they're able to bring out the best in them. And it's because they also have that quick processing ability to understand what they're saying, well, what the coaches are telling them, and applying it in real time. So them looking at Josiah Stewart first and foremost, I was happy about that because when you think about their linebacker room overall, I absolutely love Nate Landman, and I believe he is the Mike linebacker and the leader of this defense. But that second linebacker role is up for grabs in my opinion. I said this in my previous video. Do they decide to go with Sean Dolak, right? Does he push Omar Speights to the job? In my opinion, I believe if Sean Dolak had a legit competition with Omar Speights, that he would win that battle. Now here we are, we see Josiah Trotter. So this shows you that they believe that they need to get better at that second linebacker spot. Now, what this means is that the linebacker room can only improve. And I love Nate Landman, don't get me wrong. But I did read somewhere in which the way they did the contract, it does allow the Rams to get out of the contract early. So where do they decide to go? That's the ultimate question, right? Let's just say hypothetically, Nate Landman doesn't have a great season this year and they're able to get out of that contract. You would have Sean Dolak and potentially a Josiah Trotter and Omar Speights combination to work with. Or hypothetically, you love what Nate Landman brings to the table and then you have to choose between Josiah Trotter and a Sean Dolak. So here's the thing, man. When I look at Josiah Trotter on tape, right, this is what he shows me. And I'm going to get into my evaluation, but this is just what I see based off the tape. His comp to me is Dre Greenlaw. And I know a lot of Rams fans know who Dre Greenlaw is. You probably dislike him because he played on the San Francisco 49ers, but he was a dog, a great linebacker, a little dirty, but he was a phenomenal linebacker and played really well off of Fred Warner. You bring in a guy like Josiah Trotter, who can get after the quarterback. Very unique, right? Very unique skill set. Kind of like Ernest Jones, where if you send him on a blitz, he can beat you. He has a nice pass rushing arsenal to him as well. So he's great at getting after the quarterback when the opportunity presents itself, right? But he's also great at tackling one-on-one in open space, and he's very consistent in that. And what have the Rams notoriously lacked with in the running game in terms of stopping the run? Tackling, getting people down at the first point of contact. Josiah Trotter is great at that. So in my opinion, he just brings a lot of good to the table, and the fact that they are keeping that open as an outlet, it makes me happy because I even spoke about this in that previous video, that you need to decide what you're going to do with that second linebacker spot, and you need to improve in that area. But let's get into my evaluation. Josiah Trotter is physical. He has good size to be a good NFL player. He has good pass rush moves for an inside linebacker and is great at generating pressure while blitzing. He's a consistent tackler in the open field, and in my opinion, he's versatile enough to do everything you need him to do. He comes from an NFL background already with his father, and we all know the Rams love players that have NFL family ties. It usually is an indicator of high IQ players that fit what the Rams want. His grade for me, he is a second and third round grade. Now, where does he fall ultimately? A lot of it's just going to be based off of how he tests and how he interviews. In my opinion, if the Rams ended up taking him in the second round, I would absolutely love the pick. But in my opinion, the guy that I would love to have over him is the linebacker from Texas Tech. But given the fact that he tested so well at the combine, chances are he's going to be a first round draft pick. So in my opinion, Josiah Trotter, he'd be a great fit here in terms of the system and the scheme that we have. I really would love if they picked him up. And in my opinion, if we can get him in the third round, it's an even better pick. Second round really is like, if I'm being honest, it kind of is like an early third round pick. You get what I'm saying? Because we're drafting in the back end of the second round. So again, I really would love to get a guy like him in this locker room, in this linebacking core. Let's get into the last player. The next player we're going to be talking about is Rueben Bain, the pass rusher from the University of Miami. Rueben Bain is the premier pass rusher coming out in this year's draft. Now, I am surprised that the Rams were linked to interviewing him, specifically because when you think about them having Byron Young and Jared Verse there already, you have Josiah Stewart. I spoke about this in my previous offseason video. If you're going to move on from Byron Young because you can't agree to an extension, trade for Max Crosby. But it appears they're not going to go that route. I would be really shocked if Rueben Bain lands to us at our draft spot. I really would be, just because of his explosiveness, his twitch ability, his agility, his power. He presents a very unique type of player. But this is the caveat, his arm length. I believe that there's a stat that came out that if you have a sub, I believe it's 31-inch arm length or something, it might be a little bit above that. But most people that have that length are not even double-digit sack guys. And I believe that is the biggest reason why the Los Angeles Rams are linked to him, because Rueben Bain potentially will fall down in the draft if people don't believe that he could get the job done due to his lack of arm length. And it sucks to say that, right? Because he is a very unique pass rusher. You saw him just absolutely take over games and dominate, you know? But that's the caveat. Do you draft him as early as you do, expecting to get a potential Myles Garrett type of player? Because that's when you're drafting top 5, top 10, you want to get those edge defenders who change up the complexity of the game. You get what I'm saying? You want them to be a game changer. And does he provide that? If teams find that to be a big deal, and you factor in that you're going to need it with leverage in terms of getting off the blocks, can you slap the arms down? If an offensive tackle hypothetically has a longer reach than you, and because you have shorter arms, if they get their hands on you, how are you going to get off the block? Like, those are things that present itself. But if I'm being 100% honest with you, I do not believe Bain lands to us. There's just no way. He's just too talented of a player that, I mean, if he lands to us, do we even draft him? In my opinion, no, I wouldn't. It's not that I don't believe in his ability, but I do believe that with a guy like Makai, I would rather have Makai Lemon, Nasir Delane, Caleb Downs, guys that fit needs and guys that present that explosive edge to them, you know. If Ruben Bain Lancer was no doubt about it, he'd be a good player for us, but that means you're moving off of Byron Young and you're trying to get younger in that pass rushing role. So again, do we need that? We're not in a position where we could, as a team, say, oh no, we're gonna just take on a project. We don't really have that luxury right now. We have Matthew Stafford. How much longer do we have him? We don't know. We're in a win now mode. We have to win and go all the way this season. So I don't know how Bain coincides with that. I mean, if we get him, it'd be a slam dunk, in my opinion. He'd be great, but I don't think, based off of everything that we've heard up until this point, that we draft him. I'm not gonna get into a humongous evaluation on him just because I know what he puts out on tape, but I also don't believe he's gonna be there for us. Everybody else, though, is 100% in play. The last one is gonna be Micah Morris, a draft prospect from the University of Georgia. They have him listed as a guard/center. No, he's taking all of his reps at either left guard or right guard spot in college. Now, there's the thing with Micah Morris. He is a developmental player. Now, why would the Rams be talking to a guy like this? Well, specifically because of this. 6'4", 340 plus pounds. This dude's tape is ridiculous. He's extremely strong, great punch, could not be moved off the snap. In the running game, forget about it. He could throw his initial assignment out the way and get it to the second level. This guy, in terms of run blocking and what he could bring from a pass blocking aspect, has a very high ceiling. There's a reason why the Rams have interviewed him, the Seahawks have interviewed him, and other teams, and it is specifically because they see the upside that he brings to the table. Where does he fall in terms of the draft capital, right? Do we want to draft the lineman early, right? I said this in the offseason video, right? Where the Rams, I felt, should attack that offensive line. Now, would it be through signing a veteran, right? Or would it be through the draft? And when you look at what Micah Morris brings to the table, right, there's just a lot that you like in terms of raw ability that with this current coaching staff and the offensive line coach that the Rams have, we understand what he's been able to do with guys like Warren McClendon, Alari Jackson. And you look at their development and how great they have been for this team in terms of developing starting caliber offensive linemen. Warren McClendon, a 5th round pick, Alari Jackson, UDFA, and look at what they have became for the Los Angeles Rams, right? Now, when you think about it through that perspective, it's like Micah Morris absolutely fits that role. Now, let's get into my evaluation. So he has versatility at both guard spots. He's a physical bully at the point of attack with a great punch. He has great strength and is difficult to move back. He has a tendency, right, one of his weaknesses, to lean a little bit. He needs to trust his kick back a little more. But in terms of size and ability, you see it on tape. He has the traits along with the viciousness you need for a starting caliber guard in the NFL. I think with the Rams and their offensive line coach, he's a guy that I can see with the right coaching, which I believe we have, can lead to him being a quality starter and bringing that punch and physicality we lack at times going up against bigger defensive tackles like Jalen Carter. He also shows to be good against stunts and blitzes in terms of having that quick processing. He is an anchor on his side and will get you off the spot at the point of attack quickly. For me, he can be beat by quicker players, so in my opinion, the tools are there, but there's a lot of fine-tuning that needs to be done. The talent is there though. I love what I see on his tape, but again, he is a guy that has some upside in the NFL and is more, in my opinion, of a developmental guy than a day one starter. Rams have notoriously struck gold with these types of linemen, and I see a similar trajectory with Morris. Can we see a trajectory similar to Kevin Dotson? I don't know, but his ability, I think the Rams can develop him. In college, he also lined up at fullback at the goal line, so that tells you the kind of player he is and what type of versatility he brings in terms of a quickness standpoint for a guy his size. There are a lot of things I like about Morris, but he does have his flaws. His draft grade for me, if I'm being honest, he is a day 3 pick, and he is a 6th rounder, 7th rounder, potential UDFA, but I think he's gonna get drafted in that 6th or 7th round. Will I be upset if they draft him in the 5th round? No, but only if they love him as a player and see a future starting role for him and know they can get him there. Will he be the replacement to Avila if we can't resign him? This is why I think the Rams are for sure looking to attack the O-line and get help in that area. So again, going back to the offseason, right? What do the Rams decide to do? Who do they decide to pay? We just paid K-Dot. Kobe Turner needs to get paid. Does Byron Young agree to an extension? We have to get Puka Nacua signed. What does this mean for the interior of the line? Can we pay Steven Avila? Again, this is why this is why the interview of Morris is very interesting, because it's like, well, do you potentially see him as a replacement for Avila and you get a little bit bigger in the interior? Again, these are just some of the questions I have, but overall, I really like the route the Rams have went with who they've decided to interview. All right, you guys, that's gonna wrap up the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. And with that being said, we're gonna be chopping up this video into shorts, and this is primarily where you're gonna be seeing the video. I firmly believe that not that many people are gonna come see this on YouTube, so you're gonna be seeing it off the shorts. And if you stood throughout the duration of this video, thank you. I'm Al, the founder of UDK Sports Talk. I'll catch you guys on the next one. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become part of the family. Have a blessed day, you guys.